All right, hello everyone. This is Carrie Desberg with Impartner. I'm our Chief Marketing Officer, and one of the great things that I get to do on a very regular basis is to shoot our Lessons from the Edge Podinar series. A little bit Podinar, a little bit podcast, a little bit webinar. And the thing that I love about this the most, these sessions are really focused on talking to channel thought leaders, whether they're our customers or members of our Channel Chief Advisory Board. And we're talking about the things that really are making a difference to channel managers everywhere around the world. And boy, I love doing these, but sometimes the stories are really chewier than others. And today is really one of those days. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce our customer, Sherry Foster. She's the co-founder of AscendX. They are an industry-leading channel marketing services company. Welcome, Sherry. So glad to have you here.
Thanks, Carrie. It's really a thrill for me to be here.
Absolutely. Well, when I say a big topic, it is a big topic. So look, and Impartner, our crown jewel of technology is our PRM solution, and that incorporates through channel marketing solutions. But through channel marketing solutions are also something that we sell as a standalone. And Sherry is her agency is a key customer of ours, and they are solving some really big problems. In 2021, good heavens, who knows what's going to happen with the pandemic? It's certainly not the end of it. We're midstream somewhere, I think. And, that last mile of really being on the ground and being there with your customers is still continue to be challenging. And the channel has never been more important. 75% of the revenue of most companies already goes through the channel. And when you can't get there and you can't continue to get there, the channel's never been more important. And, partners want a bunch of things, but they certainly want demand. They want to be able to have demand driven to them. They want to be able to generate their own demand. And corporations want to be able to protect their brand. Well, they're doing that and make sure that their logos and their colors and their typefaces and all the things that make their look and feel and their messages consistent, those things are absolutely critical, or it's a great way to fuzz yourself up in the market. And it's hard to do that through a bunch of partners and be consistent. And, there's another thing that's really important out there. Right now, we all know that the ecosystem for the channel is changing dramatically, and that things like Amazon Business are changing the way that companies go to market. And you want to continue to keep everyone healthy. And most major multinationals, they've got huge distributor networks who take care of huge networks of resellers. And those vendors are hungry to make sure that those distributors can continue to be successful, and they continue to have something that really delivers value to those resellers in a way that those other paths to market don't. And so, Sherry, holy cow, you're doing all those things with our solution and for some big companies. How'd you get there? Tell us about what you're doing with our technology. It's such an amazing case study and story.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to talk about it. Thanks, Carrie. So at AscendX Digital, we're really providing what we think is a unique model of channel marketing services specifically to B2B brands. That's where we're targeting. And we're working in the tech space with companies like HP, big brands, with distributors like TD SYNNEX. And we're really focusing on their small and medium-sized resellers. And these are the resellers who make up 90% of the tech channel market, and they have traditionally been underserved by these big corporate brands. And so what we do is we bring all these players together in a multi-vendor model, which really serves this particular SMB segment of resellers because they don't have the marketing resources to work with, one big brand, let alone multiple vendors and multiple marketing programs. So this is enabling all of these players, the big corporate brands, distribution, and the resellers to come together in a way that is automated and drives that demand and protects that brand on those reseller channels that you were talking about before.
So, how does it work? Like, if you talk from, a major multinational to your distributor to the reseller. Like, how are you interacting with everyone, and what does this really feel like for everyone in that process, and how do they really work with you?
Yeah, so, from the brand perspective, and it started off with a conversation, with the big corporate brand and with distribution, trying to figure out how they could do something different and how they could reach this SMB market, because there are thousands of these resellers across the country. And, they were really looking at how do we add value, and from the distributor's point of view, how do we offer something that's differentiated? Distribution provides really important functions, not only for the vendors, but also for the resellers. They aggregate inventory, they provide financing, logistics, all of those kinds of things. But they've typically been a little bit more behind on the marketing side, especially digitally, right? They've been really good at things like events and email and that kind of stuff. But when it comes to, digital and really competing in this new world, they've been a bit behind. And in some cases, they've really struggled to differentiate themselves. And so what we, and you mentioned Amazon Business, those disruptors have come in, and they've been around even since before the pandemic, but it's getting to be even a bigger deal right now. And so what we've been able to do is provide them with a differentiated service that helps the big brands to really expand their marketing reach across thousands of resellers. It helps those SMB resellers to leverage the marketing investments those big brands have made, and to elevate their own digital presence on their websites, through social media, without the need for any in-house marketing resources. These SMB resellers have an average employee count of 8. I mean, they're small, right? It's less than 10, it's closer to 8. But it also helps that reseller relationship with the distributor to be a little bit stickier and to build that loyalty, because it's the distributor that's bringing this suite of corporate brands to these resellers, so that they have one place to go for the content and for the marketing programs, and they do not have to manage multiple marketing programs and demand gen programs.
So you said earlier that one of the keys to this is, especially with 8 people, I mean, whether somebody has the skill base or not, they certainly don't have the bandwidth. So you talked about set it, forget it, and that's what's working. So talk a little bit about what the experience is for a reseller that is working with a distributor to use the solutions you're providing.
Yeah, for sure. So what we've been able to do is, utilizing the Impartner TCMA solution, is we've been able to create this whole set it and forget it. So, like I said, these SMB resellers are small, and we're working with resellers with, single-digit employee counts up to, probably less than 200. So they're all in the SMB space. But most of them are in the small space and don't have marketing resources. And many of them don't even have some of these social channels that are really important for this all to work. They have, some of them, all they have is a website. There's no e-commerce store, there's no Twitter feed. They might be on LinkedIn, they might not. And so what we've been able to do is help them to, in one place, learn about what this program is, to embed a single set of code, and to opt in to participate, and they never have to come back again. And so what we're able to do is we're able to take that content from the big corporate brands, syndicate it not only on their website, but through social channels, drive demand that they would never get. We're seeing, on a monthly basis, these small, medium resellers getting thousands of impressions and hundreds of new customers onto their website every single month. And even some of these resellers who I mentioned didn't have a Twitter feed or a LinkedIn page, see this as an opportunity to actually get in the game. So what we're able to do for them is to say, listen, let's talk about Twitter, for example. Best practice is 3 to 5 tweets a day. So with this, they're getting 1 tweet a day that's coming from the brand through their channel, that's getting them to that level where they're at least participating. So we're starting to see them open up Twitter feeds that they didn't have before, gain followers. We're seeing, numbers of impressions and click-throughs that surprises them. And so now they're being enabled to participate in this digital customer journey. So we know that in 2020, 80% of that digital customer journey was online, or the customer journey was online. not a big surprise, right? But more than half of Google searches were for local businesses. So if you take those two things together, what it's telling you is, at least in this tech space, that customers, B2B customers, are looking for brand information. They're looking for technology information. They're looking for that. But they're also looking for that local reseller who's actually going to fulfill that need, right? So if they go and they search on some industry information and they find a big brand, that brand's not going to deliver it. It's the reseller that needs to deliver it. So that journey is really important. And so what it's enabling is for those resellers, through a single set of code that's embedded on their website, to now be able to be in the middle of that journey. They're catching customers who are searching online. They're catching customers who are looking at Twitter feeds or looking through LinkedIn, and they're being directed to that reseller site. So and they never have to they're not watching emails and uploading content, because it's all done in the background for them. It's refreshed, it's current, it's compliant. And that's really important too, the compliance, because these big brands are requiring compliance now. So they're saying to their resellers, listen, if you want, the rebates and the commissions and all these kinds of things, we want you to have content online, but we want it to be compliant. And that's, if you've outsourced your web hosting and you don't have a marketing person, how do you do that if you're an SMB reseller? It's really, really hard. So with this program, they don't have to worry about it. It's all done for them.
I think it's really interesting what you said. When you think about the transformation of enablement, really, right? All of marketing solutions and resources have been provided from distributors to resellers forever, right? But what I hear you saying is that you are, with our solution, you're able to really put these resellers on into that mix of a digital customer journey that they haven't been able to do before. You've been doing the things that they've been doing over the course of time, and standard MDF activities and golf course things, versus, hey, are you really being contemporary in how you're marketing? And now you finally are able to bring a contemporary solution that's actually adoptable by them to the market, to actually make it happen, maybe for the first time for a lot of these companies.
That's exactly right. And the really good thing about this solution with Impartner is that anybody could take advantage of it. So some of the resellers have said, my website's a little old. Doesn't matter. We can do this on any website. It can be a 20-year-old kind of crummy website, or it can be something that's brand new and search optimized and everything else, but it works on everybody's. Sure, do we want a more modern website? Sure, that probably works better, but everybody can take advantage of it, which is really exciting. And so as a reseller is looking at their own digital transformation, and part of that is digital sales and digital marketing and everything else, this is a step for them to enter into that. And they could say, maybe I'll update my website as we go, but at least right now I can get professional, great content and traffic driven to my site, and, fantastic assets and things like that I wouldn't otherwise have. I mean, think about, some of the content that we're putting out there. Think of the investment that these brands are making, not only in creating their own content, but videos. They cost a lot to create. Yeah. Or, I don't know if you've ever bought, I'm sure you have, one of these industry reports from one of these industry leaders. They're thousands of dollars, right? A lot of these resellers aren't going to be able to afford to do that. But because the brands are doing it and now we're streaming it onto their site, they get a much higher level of content than they'd ever be able to get on their own.
Yeah, but this is the there's actually sun in Seattle today, so I'm just going to go with the glow here. As I listen to this, I'd love to hear, what is the distributor's reaction been to its ability to provide this to the resellers, and what has the reaction from the resellers been to what it is that they can now do?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I think the distributors are really at the center of all of this, because they're able to bring to the resellers something different that they haven't been able to before. And a lot of resellers buy from, more than one distributor. And so this is, distributors have teams of people who are champions for a lot of these brands, and they're working with the individual resellers. So, they know their names, they know these folks across the country, they get to know what their needs are. And so distribution is able to bring that to the corporate brand as well and say, hey, listen, this is a great story, but this is how it's going to resonate with this part, resonate with this part of the country, or with this set of resellers, or with resellers that go after this particular market segment. So one of the things, for example, we've been able to use, which has been really valuable, are case studies, right? So the brand, the big corporate brand has these great case studies for, let's say, healthcare. We're able to put those on all these reseller sites. That really resonates with customers. Customers want to read about those things. So we're able to share that, and we're able to multiply that exponentially through thousands of resellers and really grab attention. And so distribution's been able to do that. The other thing distribution is able to do is they're the ones who are able to bring multiple vendors to these resellers, because that's really important. Resellers are happy to sign up for this, but they don't want to sign up for this 10 times, with 10 different corporate brands. So distribution is the aggregator of all of that, and they make it efficient, and they make it resonate for those resellers.
That's cool. And I think you were saying earlier that in some of your customer base here that they're absolutely anxious to add more resellers onto that distributor. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've been hearing actually most recently, is a lot of the resellers have come to us now and said, you know what, we really like this. We like this content, give us more of it, but what more can you give us? What other brands can you bring on? How can you take, this brand and another brand and make it into solution content, that kind of thing. So, they're asking for more, which is telling me that they're seeing value and appreciate the investment that's being made on their behalf around the demand gen, around the syndication, around just their elevation of their own digital presence.
Everyone wants to work with the best distributors and the best resellers, right? We all want the most powerful people. How is what you're doing helping create preference?
I think it's building a lot of credibility for the resellers that are part of this program. Because, we talked about search a second ago, and we talked about this digital journey. And we know when people are on their digital journey that they're looking at a whole bunch of different sites. And when they land on their local reseller or resellers, they're looking at that site to see, who's going to be the best fit for me as a customer. And when they see this kind of high level quality thought leadership kinds of content from the reseller, it builds credibility. When they see this content that comes from the brand on the reseller site, that tells the customer, you know what, this reseller is really connected with this brand. They know what they're doing. So it's really helping to create that credibility and preference for those resellers that are in this program with customers in the market. And I think on the other hand, with preference for distribution, I think it's helping them too. Because like I said before, resellers will often, deal with more than one distributor. But this program, because there's so much investment that is making sense for them, that they really appreciate, there's a stickiness and a loyalty that's being created for the distributor with those resellers. So it's very valuable that way.
Well, stickiness and loyalty, I mean, that is absolutely what we all want with our customer bases, right? And the people who bring our companies to life. Well, so you're an agency in the middle of all this, bringing this to life, right? And talk a little bit about that. If other agencies who work in channel marketing services are thinking about how they can really put channel marketing on steroids. I mean, what you're doing is, powering the digital customer journey at scale is really what everyone wants, right? What's your advice to other agencies who are thinking about it?
Well, I think I mean, I know this sounds like really basic, but really think about it from a customer lens, but look at it from a different customer lens, right? I think we all have looked at it from the same customer lens for many years. So we're all trying to work with the big corporate brands and, the big resellers, and how can, we do digital marketing and pay-per-click and all that. And I'm not saying that that's not important, but, we're looking at it from a different perspective, and maybe the pandemic has helped with that, right? This buy local and working with local and all that kind of thing. And we're looking at it from the perspective of these SMB resellers and these thousands of resellers that are out there, and the fact that customers do want to work with their local businesses. And so we're looking at it from that perspective. This one to many, many, many marketing that is out there that we think is a unique spot in the market. But as an agency, I think you've got to, help some of your clients look at where these opportunities are and how things have changed, because they're not going back. I mean, McKinsey has done studies that said that I think it's like 27% of the B2B buyers that they surveyed will spend something like $500,000 online or something like that. It's a really, really big number. And when I said 80% of the journey is online, for millennials, it's 93%. So this trend is not going to change. It's going to get bigger. So how can we as agencies help our clients look at the trend farther out and help them to get there, as opposed to, hey, what do you want me to do? How can I help you today? But how can I help you tomorrow? And what are the kinds of directions that we can help you plan for in this new digital era, because, it's accelerating.
Absolutely. Well, I'd love it as a closeout. I mean, as a channel management technology company, we care about automation, right? That's our focus, is doing things at scale. What's your final reco for folks who are thinking about what kind of tech that they need to do this and thinking they can continue to do it without massive automation? What would be your words of advice on that front?
Well, there's a lot out there on channel tech. And there's a lot of tools and things like that. I would say that, and people have tried to, this through channel marketing before, and people are doing it successfully in a lot of different ways. But, really, really understanding the usage of how people are, things seem like a great idea at the time. And, I'm really focused on this SMB channel for my clients. And I can tell you that our hypothesis that they want to set it and forget it and never touch it again is 100% right. They are too busy to even read some of the marketing emails I send them to say, hey, this new content is out there. I know, they're not reading it because they trust us that it's out there and that it's there for them. And so, for us, using this technology and this automation as an enabler has really been a differentiator for us. And I think as people are looking at channel marketing and channel automation, I think you have to test it. We've tested it with small groups and piloted it and really sort of found out what works and what doesn't work. And we're finding really good success with automation. And even, some of the resellers who were skeptical at first, wasn't sure it was for them, we said, let us give it a try, see what you think. They're the ones that are coming back and asking for more. So automation's the way to go, and especially at scale. Automation is the only way you're going to get that kind of scale.
Well, I love that. And I think that's the perfect punch point, right? I mean, we certainly see that in spades. If the pandemic has done anything, it's sped digital transformation up, as I think the mantra is right now, from 2 years to 2 months. And, how I look at it is it's not really 2021, it's 2023, right? There's a lot that has happened, and you need to get moving, or somebody else is going to eat your lunch. The best digital hunter wins. Well, Sherry, I really appreciate this story. I mean, how you have worked together with this multinational vendor, this distributor, these resellers, to really take customers and put resellers into the digital customer journey so quickly and so efficiently, to drive demand and create demand and protect the brand and add value to distributors in a really challenging time is absolutely a bar setting exercise, and you've done it so quickly. It's so impressive. So we are grateful that you are here to share that story. I hope everybody gets some great takeaways about what is possible on all those fronts, and we will look forward to our next conversation. Sherry, thank you so much.
Thanks, Carrie, for having me.